Greetings from the Temple of the Dragon Queen on the plane of D&D Monster Manual 3rd Edition. My name is John from the MTG Thoughtcast, and this is Pack It In, where we're going to open ourselves a booster pack and get as many cards as we can into your commander decks. Today, we have ourselves Dungeons & Dragons: Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, a Magic the Gathering product. Magic the Gathering Dungeons and Dragons. This was a very, very highly anticipated crossover set with two of the most iconic brands under Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast's network. Being able to bring over essentially the game that that Magic was basically built off of. If you're not familiar with that sort of iconography, Dungeons and Dragons has been around for an incredibly long time, and sort of the basis of Magic has been is a D&D light, is how it was kind of originally anticipated to be like, and just seeing these two come together into at least one of, there's been a few now, of Dungeons and Dragons themed Magic set is incredibly cool. So we need to get started. Oops, wait, I have this backwards. I was thinking for some reason that set boosters were backwards, but they are not. So we'll cycle back around to that one in a minute. But first, we got this really cool art card for, I think this is just a Beholder. Is this the one with the stats on the back? No. Baleful Beholder, this one is. Sometimes these art cards came with like the manual briefs on the back. Very, very cool. A Foil Forest, which is also, this set was very unique as well. The lands, the basic lands, they came with like Dungeons and Dragons like immersion text on the lands themselves, and more basic lands need flavor text. That is so cool. I love those so much. We begin with a showcase frame of Gnoll Hunter. 1 in a green for a 2/2 Gnoll. I'm actually not sure what a Gnoll is. I think it's just like a beast, like a werewolfy kind of thing. I played Baldur's Gate 3, so like some of these creatures and things are a little bit more familiar to me now. So I think it's like a werewolfy kind of monster, I suppose, as depicted here. It's a 2/2 with Pack Tactics, that whenever it attacks, if you attacked with creatures with total power 6 or greater this combat, put a +1/+1 counter on Gnoll Hunter. Adventures in the Forgotten Realms didn't really have much as far as like shared mechanics outside of evergreen like vanilla stuff. Pack Tactics was the one exception to that, where there was a variety of creatures in the set that had this kind of keyword onto it. And it's a very cool one. I would like to see it again someday. Otherwise, a bear that gets itself bigger as you attack with more bears. That's super fun. Spiked Pit Trap, a single mana for an artifact with flash that you can pay 5 mana, tap, and sacrifice it, choose target creature, then roll a d20. On 1 through 9, it deals 5 damage to that creature, or 10 to 20, it deals 5 damage to that creature, and you make a treasure token. D&D obviously is one of its big core aspects of how you play that game is dice rolling, and up to this point, dice rolling had only ever really been in the joke silver border sets. So to see it not only make its return into Magic as a whole, but into a legal to play black border environment was just such a flavor win for how this set was designed and incorporated. And since then, we've seen lots of other cards that do dice rolling just naturally in their sets as well. I love it. As you all know that I am a huge enjoyer of silver border unsets, so to see any capacity of dice rolling in this game is fantastic in my books. I'm gonna not pronounce this right. Faraday's? I want to say it was Faraday's Fireball. That sounds correct. 3 and double red for an instant that it deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker, so very similar to the Pit Trap that we just had. But then you roll a d20. It will, on 1 to 9, either deal 2 damage to each player, or 10 to 20 deals 2 damage to each opponent. So if you roll low, you get the 5 damage either way, but if you roll low, you'll take damage back as well. If you roll high, you'll just deal damage just to your opponents, which is cool. Both of those, honestly, is super playable. Next card. Wow, we're getting all the dice rolling cards. I guess that it is, to be fair, like we are opening a set booster here, and sometimes these are sort of themed, more or less, so we seem to have stumbled our way into the dice rolling theme. Swarming Goblins is 4 and a red for a 4/3 goblin that when it enters, you roll a d20. On a 1 to 9, you make a goblin token. 10 to 19, you make 2 tokens. And on a 20, you get 3 of those tokens. Neat. It's super cool. So, like, it can sometimes be up to the strength of Siege Gang Commander, or Siege Gang... No, Commander. Yes, Commander's the one. Yeah, I was mistaken with Lieutenant. The one that enters and makes 3 goblins naturally as well. But at minimum, this is always itself plus at least a token, and sometimes you get 2 tokens out of. Well, here the thing with dice rolling is that like it's very sporadic. Like unless you're playing the other cards that help you influence or manipulate your die roll, they're sporadic at best. But they are cool if you're playing any card that cares about your die rolling. No matter what the outcome of cards like those are, they are great for your decks like that. But outside of dice rolling cards, though, we've got probably one of the best uncommons that have come out of this set is Prosperous Innkeeper. For 1 and a green, you get a 1/1 halfling citizen. When it enters the battlefield, you make a treasure token, and then whenever another creature enters under your control, you gain 1 life. All-star. Amazing. He's so cool. Soul Warden, Soul Sister style of cards, even the ones that only track your battlefield, those are always great. These are fantastic hits to have. Especially when you've got 3 other players that you need to buffer your life total against. Anything that not only replays for itself, is very blinkable, and gains you life throughout the game. Easily one of the best hits in this pack so far. I'm very excited to see one of those. Skullport Merchant. 2 and a black for a 1/4 dwarf citizen. When it enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. And then for 1 and a black, sacrifice another creature or a treasure, draw a card. Neat! These are very, very cool. It's kind of sucks that the sacrifice outlet is not free, but again, just like the Prosperous Innkeeper, this creates you treasure as it comes into play. So blinkable, reanimatable, like pick it back up, put it back down into play, and then just the things that don't require tap that are like sack outlets to just use your mana over the course of a turn or the off turn or something like that. These always have good value. I don't know if this one is incredible, but if you don't have anything else better going on, it is a very cool choice to have. Kaylee, bugger. Kalane? We're gonna go with Kalane. Welcome to another episode of John Doesn't Know How to Speak. Kalane, Reclusive Painter, black-red for a 1/2 legendary creature, human elf bard. When it enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. We're on brand tonight. And other creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on them for each mana from a treasure spent to cast them. This is cool. If you are strong in the treasure production colors, I know from the... I think it was the cycle of Commander decks that came out with this set, or it may have been the Baldur's Gate ones, I'm not sure, but the deck that Prosper was a fan of, or the deck that he was leading, right? That was a super heavy Rakdos Colors treasure theme style deck, so any creatures that you would start casting off of Prosper's own trigger would not only replenish itself with treasures, but then come in stronger based on how many of those treasures you used. If if this one is down in play, you get extra boosts to your creatures. It's very, very cool. And again, just like all the things that we said with the previous 2 creatures as well, blinkable and reanimatable in the sense that it replenishes a treasure every time it comes into play. Silver Raven, a single blue for a 1/1 artifact creature bird. Flying, and when it enters the battlefield, scry 1. Cool, simple, easy. Amazing? Probably not, but it puts an artifact down into play early, is a fun little bird friend, helps you set up the top of your library. Very fun. I'm a big fan of it. Potion of Healing. 1 and a white for an artifact that when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. And for a white tap sacrifice, you gain 3 life. So very similar to food, honestly, that as long as you've got white mana available to you. I've never seen this card before. This is very, very cool. A blinkable artifact that will keep coming in and draw you a card. Or then you can sacrifice it for like a food ability later on. This is very, very neat. I don't recall ever seeing this one from the set before. Very cool. We've got ourselves a rare with Gelatinous Cube. It's the Jelly Square. 2 in double black for a 4/3 ooze with Engulf, that when it enters the battlefield, exile target non-ooze creature an opponent controls until Gelatinous Cube leaves the battlefield. And Dissolve for X and a black, put target creature card with mana value X exiled with Gelatinous Cube into its owner's graveyard. That it reads super strange a little bit, but essentially what that means is the Gelatinous Cube can eat something else off the battlefield. And if that creature remains exiled to the Gelatinous Cube for too long and you get the opportunity to have mana up and available to eat it away, instead of keeping it in exile under the Gelatinous Cube, you'll send it off to their graveyard where it's semi-harder for them to get it back at that point, right? Because like the thing with like these Fiend Hunter style cards is all they have to do is get rid of your card and theirs comes right back to their battlefield. So this is nice that it's kind of got a little bit of a safety valve on it, that if they were to start pointing removal at this to try to get their creature back, you just dissolve the thing that they've eaten and it goes to their graveyard, and now yours is in your graveyard for reanimation purposes that you can bring it right back and eat something else of theirs. I like it. It's super, super neat. Oh man, I was hoping we would open ourselves another Gnoll Hunter. We had already talked about this one. This one is instead, this is the regular art and in foil. So, Gnoll Hunter number 2. Apply all the things I said earlier to that copy. And we have a card from the list on here. Pegasus Stampede, 1 and a white for a sorcery with buyback, sacrifice a land, and put a Pegasus token into play. Treat this token as a 1/1 white creature with flying. The set symbol there is Exodus? I think that's Exodus. Yeah, I mean, 2 mana, make a 1/1 flyer that you could potentially sacrifice a land in white. You know what? Honestly, I don't even really want to go much further into this. I think this is a bad card. Even for the ability to be able to bring it back to your hand at sorcery speed, needing to sacrifice a land, that card is bad. Very fun and interesting all over the pack we have here, but I think it kind of goes much without saying that our best pull that we're going to have from this pack is going to be the Prosperous Innkeeper. It replenishes itself on a treasure, sits there and continues to gain you life, is just dinky enough that I don't think people are going to be wanting to put removal at it, but could also always demand an answer because the amount of life that it can start compounding on top of other life gain pieces that you may already be playing. It's very, very fun. It's easily the best card in this pack. Maybe Kalian is also another Kalain. I'm gonna, you know what, that one. That one's also very cool. And honestly, I do like the Potion of Healing. That is a very interesting idea for a card. Like, we've seen other cards like it now that are like white artifacts that draw them cards, but I like Potion of Healing a lot. I think that one's very, very cool. And that will do it for today's pack of Dungeons & Dragons. Thank you so much for going on this adventure with me. I hope your charisma checks all checked out super well. That was a bad joke. I'm not going to do that again. But thank you so much for watching this anyway. And if you're interested to see more content like this in the future, please be sure to drop comments, likes, and subscribes down below, where I am always hanging out on my videos here, checking them out. And we'll see you all again next time for the next episode here of Pack It In.